Good evening. Welcome to tonight's On the Edge with me, Theo Chalmers. Tonight's show is 1 hour long and live, so if you have any questions for my guest during the show, text them to 87778 with the word EDGE, a space, and then your name, location, and your message. And we'll try to pick up on any that really hit the mark. They're all charged at standard rates, so why not get texting? In tonight's show, I'll be talking with a special guest who is the only man to ever be convicted for making crop circles. And although his story may at first disappoint crop circle fans, the story doesn't end there. And his extraordinary experiences whilst making crop circles might well amaze you. He is crop circle maker and UFO researcher Matthew Williams. What a show we've got tonight. Matthew, welcome.
Hello.
I see you've brought a bit of kit with you.
I have. I brought some of my tools of the trade.
Perhaps you better describe them for us.
Well, this is my stomper board, which we use to actually flatten the corn out. I mean, I can demonstrate.
Can we get that on camera?
Demonstrate that for you, if you wish. You know, but it's a plank of wood which has a rope at each end, and you basically put it down, and you sort of stand there and stomp forward, like stomp, stomp, stomp. You want me to do a better demonstration? Do you want me to do the official?
You can stomp on our
right, okay.
rug.
Tend to do this, get the board like that, put your foot in the middle, and then you stomp, stomp, stomp.
Stomp right off the set if you're not careful.
Slide out of the way as well, yes.
Stomp and slide. and what about these other sticks you've got here? Do you want to show the camera these?
Right, these are just marker sticks. They're bamboo cane sticks, and we put little white bits on them because at night, when it's hard to see in the dark, you know, you will spot the white. And if you drop them down into the crop, because they're the same colour as the crop, they'll disappear. But you'll spot the white bits. But you won't see these bits if you drop them into the crop.
Have you ever left any in circles?
Yes, and they've been discovered by other people, and, you know, the evidence has been whisked away, or other explanations have been given to why these things are there, but, yeah.
OK, so I think we need a bit of background, really, then.
Yes.
Matthew, how did you get into making crop circles?
Well, I was a UFO researcher for many years. I'd written magazine articles, been on radio programs, had stuff submitted in books and things like this, and I came across crop circles, and I thought, you know, this is an interesting area because you've got something that's got a physical trace left behind, and it's still going to be there. You know, it's not going to disappear like a UFO does or a ghost does. You can actually see it, get in it, and have a look. And I thought, right, let's go and see this. So I went down, came to the conclusions that people were making the circles.
Well, how did you come to that conclusion? Because I know a lot of people who believe that, not all perhaps, but the vast majority of crop circles are not made by people.
Well, we needed to get in early before any damage had been done by other people into the circles, because one of the claims is that if you go into a circle and you say, well, look, I've seen damage and broken plants, and the crop circle researchers will often say, well, you weren't there early enough. That was one of the arguments that was put forward. So we would get to the circles as early as we could, and we would have a look in parts that you wouldn't necessarily want to walk into.
Why? Because they were the furthest from the edge of the field, or?
Yes, and right on the edges and things like this, where people wouldn't really want to trample because it's so close to the edge and things like this. And we were finding evidence that these plants had actually been broken, and there were scuff marks, and the scuffs would indicate that something had been used to actually press the plant and had scuffed across it whilst being pressed down. So that gave me the idea that these were probably being made by people, and then we changed our tack from being, you know, well, what is making these things, to, well, who's making these things and where are they? And we found a number of candidates for people that were making them. I mean, some people were vocal about saying they made crop circles, and they didn't want to speak to us. You know, we couldn't sort of get close to them.
But these people who were being vocal about it, were they believable? I mean, did you give them credit for actually having made crop circles?
I wasn't sure. You know, there's some wide claims, and you know, you have to actually look into things properly. But one way I thought that would sort of ingratiate ourselves with these people would be to make some circles, to test it ourselves and see what people thought. So we actually started making circles to experiment with how far you could go. We made some simple circles that were not very big. You know, we just took a couple of minutes to make them, and people were very impressed by this. They thought that it was, you know, the real deal, and they were going, wow, this is really complicated swirl patterns and energies, and people were saying they'd had healing effects in them and things. And then we thought, right, okay, so if we can make these circles and other people are believing in them, then maybe the other people we haven't managed to speak to yet are making circles and people believe in those. So we kind of proved a point by making some circles. And once we'd made those circles, And we then re-spoke to those circle makers. They then said, "Oh, you're a circle maker now. Yes, we'll talk to you." So we kind of got into the inner circle.
In the club.
In the
Did
circle,
you have a secret circle maker's handshake?
Yes. I
Or
mean,
perhaps the shirt. Is that the clue?
I've given away the secret of how to speak to circle makers. You have to make a circle first. Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
You have to form a circle with them, do you?
Yeah.
Okay, so you got in with the circle makers, and how many circle makers do you actually know?
I've estimated about 30 circle makers in Wiltshire.
30 people.
Yes.
I mean, the question that I think a lot of people out there might want to ask is, why? You know, maybe do one to show that you can, but why, year after year, time after time, more and more complicated? It's free work, isn't it? No one's paying you.
Well, exactly. I mean, the farmers don't pay people to make circles. I mean, there has to be a motivation behind it. And what it was for me originally was to sort of experiment and find out what was going on. But I started hearing these stories about people saying, "Well, I've been healed in that circle." I was thinking, hang on, healed in something that I made? How can that be? And then they were saying things like, "Oh, we've had strange experiences, paranormal effects, batteries being drained." And you kind of start to think, well, hang on, could this really be happening? Are people making that up, or are they really having those experiences? Now, knowing myself of having UFO experiences and things, I know that it's very hard for people to kind of take you seriously when you say, "Look, I saw something strange." So I wanted to believe the people who were saying that they'd had strange experiences in our circles, and they seemed genuine people. But if they were having genuine paranormal effects in the circles we'd created, why was that? And as we started continuing on making circles, we found that there were paranormal things happening to us as well whilst we were making the circles. So in that lies the answer of why people continue to make crop circles, because when you get to know them, they'll tell you about their experiences that they've had and the strange things that have happened to them, the synchronicities, how they've gone out and made circles that other people have been expecting to sort of come. They've been premeditating these things, and then people who are circle makers go out and make them without knowing these people. And when you get these things happen, and they keep happening time and time again, strange effects, UFOs, balls of light, flashes at night, when your eyes are adjusted to the dark, you see these strange flashes, and just high weirdness. Very high weirdness. We can go into in detail later.
I think we should do. Should we have a look? We've got some photographs. Can you choose some of these photographs for us? The circles that you've made that you can lay claim to.
Sure. If we go for number 2.
Number 2, can we have?
We can come back onto this point because this is one that I was going to reveal for the first time tonight.
Well, this is an exclusive to On the Edge.
Yeah. I've talked about this in my lectures, and I've kind of come to the conclusion that I probably won't get in trouble for saying it now because it was a long time ago that I did this.
It says 1999 on it.
And it's
10 years old.
Yeah, it's a very small circle, so it might be past the point where, maybe anybody would want to prosecute somebody for doing it. It's very small. I mean, the amount of crop damage here is worth a couple of pounds, So nobody's going to be that worried about it. But this is important because...
Isn't it also number 3, the same...
2 and 3, yes.
Should we see number 3 as well? Is another picture of the same circle, with you, I think, standing in it?
No, that's not me.
That's not you?
No.
That's another, is it?
But you can see it's a very small circle. I'll explain to you. I got a strong urge one night to go out and make a circle, and it was too late for me to get a team together, so I went and did it on my own.
I think we're done with that now.
Yeah. So I went and did this circle on my own. I actually got a tripod and used it as a person to hold the tape, in effect.
What, a camera tripod?
A camera tripod, quite a heavy one, and weighted it down. And I actually used that to scribe the circle myself, and then scribe each part of the petals. Now, I heard then that people had been near. Well, I actually heard people whilst I was making the circle. I thought I heard a guitar, and I thought I heard people chatting. So I knew there were people nearby. So I didn't obviously speak because I was on my own. And but I sought out the people that were there to find out their story of, well, did you hear anything? Did you see anything afterwards?
Could they not have seen you? I mean, how dark was it?
No. Well, we'll come to another story about why they couldn't have seen us in a minute. That's a very interesting one. But they said that they'd been meditating on this design, that nobody had been playing a guitar.
Well, they'd come up with this design themselves.
They were meditating on a 6-fold petal design, and I had come out of my house at 11 o'clock at night with an urge to come within about 150 feet of them and quietly make a circle on my own. That was the circle near Avebury, and it was something that was being asked for by somebody else.
Is this the first one you did by yourself?
Yes, it is basically. I've done a couple of other circles by myself, but they weren't really circles. They were
Squares.
How can I say this? Let's say hieroglyphic. Without giving, I'll be giving too much away if I say any more, I think. But hieroglyphic, let's say, but I did it on my own.
Right.
And they weren't very accurate, because working on your own, you haven't got somebody to hold a tape and to work as a reference point for, you know, for scribing things in, to keep things square and, you know. So you tend to work better as a team, really.
Okay. So, so you independently of them came up with this idea of the six-petaled flower in a circle.
Yeah,
and
that's
then
one example of many. Yes, I mean, I shall tell you the other story. I mean, we just go straight into it if you want.
Why don't we?
I mean, I've come to believe that there are forces working out in the world, you know, that are higher than us. I believe in ghosts, the paranormal. I've seen ghosts. I've had clairvoyant experiences that tell me 100% that, you know, somebody has either read my mind or is in contact with something else. You know, now, I believe in all this stuff, so I went into crop circles and I started having paranormal experiences happening to me on a grander scale, a much bigger scale than I'd ever had before in my life. So I started to think, well, there's something about us making these large symbols and other people wondering about what these symbols are, and that wondering and that thought process of seeing newspapers printing these things and millions of people picking up a newspaper and looking at this, that energy that's created and whatever's in that symbol is something interesting. It creates paranormal power.
Is this like sort of Jungian archetypes or something, or?
Yes, it could be in the collective unconscious, perhaps, but, I mean, the telepathic thing of me going on that night, this has happened more than on one occasion. I mean, if it was in the subconscious, then, you know, why would I get the idea to go and do that design? I could have picked any design from the subconscious, you know, but it's that design. So is it are we being directly communicating with other researchers, mind to mind, or is there a possibility that there's something up there that we all connect to that wants us to think that thing at that time, and that's why we do that design, and that's why we pick stuff up? But those questions, you know, come into my mind, and then because we believe that there's something bigger going on, we treat the circles we make with a lot of respect. So we actually dedicate them towards humanity and towards universal love and peace.
Isn't it
very hippie-ish of me?
Well,
isn't it?
but isn't it a little bit of a cop-out here? Because you know that you must be upsetting a lot of people who have spent a lot of time studying crop circles, you know, writing books about them, coming up with, you know, deep ideas about what the symbolism means. And if you're to be believed, and I'm not saying that you're not for a moment, and all your, you know, 29 or so other fellow crop circle makers, then really you're kind of kicking these people in the teeth a bit, aren't you? People
say that, but circle makers were there before me. Circle makers may have been back in time, you know. Doug and Dave, you know, started it off perhaps, and but circles have been around for a long time, and I think that if there's an original phenomena there, that people copy these phenomena and expand upon them. So, say for instance, ancient man might have seen swirls in their cornfields.
Well, there was something called mowing devils, wasn't there?
The mowing devil, yes. I mean, you know, people will see these as signs. So if you see a UFO in the sky and it's shaped like a cross or something like that, or shaped like a triangle, you might then want to paint that on a wall, or you might want to design it in some way. And I mean, if we look at ancient man and the way he put together Stonehenge and Avebury, I mean, nobody would come along and say, well, the people who made Avebury are hoaxers. You know, how dare they make a religious structure and say they know what they're doing and that they've got a right to do that, you know? Yeah, but, it's yes, but they used that. They built some sort of, you know, some structure for a purpose. I don't think we know exactly what that purpose was. Again, there are plenty of theories. So I suppose, in a sense, the people who theorise about Avebury and Stonehenge are very similar to the people who theorise about the crop circles, except that generally they believe the crop circles have some supernatural or supernatural genesis. But here you are coming along and smashing their dreams. Well, no, the point is, I think we're actually trying to empower people, but it doesn't come across that way sometimes because people are very set in their ways, and once they've got an idea and they think it's their idea and they're happy with that, then anything that comes along and challenges that, they're upset with. So the thing is, with crop circles, if we were secretive and we never said anything and Doug and Dave hadn't come around, people would be very happy with the concept that it was aliens or gods or spirits and these things that they want to believe, you know, that actually drive people forward. But who's to say that it's not still something big? Because when the circle makers are connecting with this telepathic, connection to be able to do designs that people are asking for. When there are balls of light seen, when there are UFOs seen in crop circles that are made by people, afterwards, I say, is that a negative thing? I think the circle makers are being called to make these things.
Matthew, we're going to have to go for a break now. If you'd like to text in your questions or comments for Matthew Williams, please do so now to 87778 with the word EDGE and then your text. See you very soon. Welcome back to On the Edge with me, Theo Chalmers, and my special guest, Matthew Williams. Matthew, we're getting a few texts in. I'm going to read a few of those out. There's a few of us circle makers watching in Pewsey, and I would like to say hello, Matt, loving the shirt. That's L from Pewsey. So presumably you know L from Pewsey.
Yes, the infamous L from Pewsey. I think they're in the Mooney's pub, and
that's giving the game away, then, doesn't it?
Yeah. Get down to the Mooney's, everybody, if you want to see some circle makers. They might tell you a few things you need to know.
They'll probably deny everything, won't
yes.
they? OK, Paul in Warrington, who's a regular texter, he's saying, signs in crop circles, the Nazca Lines. Do you think there is a common link in some way, and are they all man-made?
Nazca Lines, it's something to be seen from the air, a very large thing that can't be seen on the ground.
They're like animal shapes, aren't they, in Peru, I think, aren't they?
Yeah, I mean, the thing with those, they're very representative. And, I mean, you see spiders, birds, and things that make a lot of sense. Crop circles are a bit more mysterious because the designs are a bit more enigmatic. You have to look into them and see what they mean for you. So I think that they differ in that sense, and the scale is obviously different, and the fact that a crop circle is temporary and Nazca Lines are permanent.
It actually goes on. He sent us a supplemental text here. He says, are crop circles a modern-day Nazca? And what are your thoughts on Eric von Daniken and his view on the Nazca Lines?
Eric von Daniken's interesting reading. I mean, I think some of his work is a little bit, shaky for me. But I like where he's coming from. I like the idea.
Ancient astronauts.
Yes,
and
I'd go more with Zachariah Sitchin than Eric von Daniken, I think, yes.
OK, because he's built some sort of theme park now in Switzerland or Austria, hasn't he, Daniken?
Has he?
And he's got sort of plastic pyramids and...
What's that, Dannyland or something, is it? Daniken Land.
Danny Minogue Land. OK, there are records of crop circles back in the 1600s. They were known as fairy rings by people back then, and were attributed to the fairies that were said to have been seen dancing in the fields.
Wasn't me. No.
OK.
But, I mean, crop circles are... There's many things that look like crop circles, tree circles, ice circles, things like that. They're not really connected in the same sense, but I think that, shapes in the landscape, like Stonehenge, Avebury, stone sites, barrow mounds, these sorts of things, they're about the closest thing I think you get to sort of crop circles.
There are some pictures of ice circles, by the way, the current issue of Fortean Times, which is the May issue, I believe. So very impressive, and it's quite hard to understand how they could make them on lakes and rivers and things, these circles in ice, if they are man-made. But let's go and have a look at some more pictures here. Can we see picture number 1, please? Now, this is a poster for a film, A Place to Stay, and I believe you had some connection with this. I think I can guess what it might be.
Yes, I had a little hand in doing the design for the movie there. It was a crop circle that appeared a few years ago, and they needed to have the same circle again because it was the theme of the movie.
So let's go to picture number 18 then. There we go. And this is a close-up of it, is it?
Yeah.
Was this based on an existing circle, somebody else's circle?
Well, a circle which had appeared previously, I'll say, because we don't go talking about other people's work, and we get slapped on the wrist by other people if we do. So we just say unknowns.
Is this the one with the missing Earth? It's the heavens. It's the solar system.
Earth is missing. Yes, they called it.
And can we see number 19 as well? The next picture, because we've got several pictures of this. We might as well scroll through them, shall we? That's 19. That's a really good one, isn't it? And so you made that, did you, with some of your...
Yes, it was a paid-for formation. That's why I can talk about it. It was done for the movie, and we tried to recreate the original circle. It was done at night, but we did finish... We waited until the morning to go up on the hill just to make sure there we are.
And that's you in the middle there,
That's me in the middle. We just wanted to make sure that we could look down on it and make sure it was perfect, so we could go back in and just correct it. But it was perfect anyway.
What did they do? Film it from a helicopter or something, did they, for the film?
They filmed inside the circle with motion control cameras and things like that, yes.
Okay. Okay. Well, I think we're done with that. So, I mean, that was actually quite a complicated circle, wasn't it?
That one wasn't too bad, actually. We've done much more complicated stuff than that. But, you know, when you're trying to recreate something, you have to get it right. Because if it's not right, people will spot it. But when you're working with crop circles that people haven't seen before, and they're abstract, you can get away with a lot more. And if you make a mistake, you can kind of fill it in and change things, and people will think that that mistake is actually meant to be there and, you know, get a little bit wowed by that, so... Are the mistakes even meant to be there? Because some people do believe that the mistakes were actually intentional in some respects. I mean, we had a crop circle we were making one night. We were going along, and all of a sudden, we came to the last part of the crop circle, and all parts were identical. So we came to the sixth part. We'd done the 5, and the 5 arms were correct, and the 6th one, we couldn't do it. And all of us just went, goo, goo, gaga, and we all just went, nobody could think. It was almost like something had sort of like slapped us and gone, you're not going to complete this. So we had to do something else on the fly to just complete it. But we'd actually scribed it in, and then we just all went crazy, you know, and we couldn't do it.
And so when people, you know, the kind of people who go to crop circles after they've appeared, went to this crop circle where you'd all gone gaga, as you say, what did they say about this anomaly?
Well, it's interesting because... without giving too much away, I mean, the feature that we put in place actually pointed towards another land feature that could have had significance towards that land feature. So the mistake was in the direction pointing at a land feature.
Chance?
Well, we were all just flummoxed. We couldn't continue. So I think that sometimes when you're meant to do things, you do them, and when you're meant to stop, you stop. And if you're not meant to do them, bad things happen, which is what happened on one night when we were going out and we tried to make a circle. It felt wrong. Everybody was making mistakes. We couldn't coordinate ourselves. And I said, no, we're going to do this. And we started doing it. 3 balls of light appeared at the corners of the field. And initially, we all thought it was farmers with torches. And we ran. We met at a predefined point, got out of there. And we remember looking back, and as we were sort of running out of the field, these balls of light were sort of coming across the top of the crop in a very, very quiet fashion. They weren't sort of jumping around like torchlights would. Yeah, there wasn't like a torchlight going, you know, beams across the crop. It was just balls of light that were moving across the crop into the position where we'd been. Now, subsequently, a big circle appeared in that field, which was spectacular, and outshined what we were going to do. And bearing in mind I had the feeling, and other people had the feeling, that we weren't meant to be there, and we were going against our feelings. We were going, we're going to do this even though we're feeling like we're not meant to be there. Another circle came down in that place, which was actually a very important circle. So I don't think we were meant to do that circle.
Well, I've got to rewind you here, Matthew. Are you saying that you were scared out of the field by some balls of light, and then another circle appeared on that same night?
Not on the same night, in about a week's time.
Ah, but it could have been another crew, couldn't it, from Pusey,
but
from the Mooney pub?
Well, indeed, but, I mean, nobody knew that we'd, from that, if we say that another team did the formation, which they probably did, but we say a mystery thing happened in that field afterwards then.
Do you know who did that afterwards then?
I'm not saying which circle it is, so I suppose, yes, I can say yes, I know who did that circle.
So you did know that it was man-made?
Yes, it definitely was man-made, but... nobody knew that formation that we started was there because we'd only scribed and it couldn't be seen. And
did anything weird happen to those people?
No, not that I'm aware of.
OK, well, they're texting in again. Matthew, we love you in the Vale of Pusey. Keep up the good work, Emma. And then, hi, I'm a circle maker in Pusey. Humans are capable of amazing feats. Don't take the power of the human being away. Pyramids, Stonehenge, the list is endless. And that's from D. So,
good points, you know. I mean, we do sort of look at, you know, sort of big achievements and we say, well, you know, they're so big that can these be people that have done them? But, I mean, at the end of the day, we've gone into space shuttles, things like that. You know, it's all technology, it's all advancement. And, I mean, a pattern in a field at night, yes, it can be done. It's not beyond human powers to do that sort of thing. What I'm interested in is not necessarily that humans can go out in fields and flatten corn and make nice patterns. I'm interested in the paranormal side, in so much as maybe because people believe something is paranormal, then it becomes paranormal. So it's the power of thought. And people who believe the crop circles cannot be made by people are actually helping to generate the energy that actually makes other people experience strange things. So it's good that they don't believe me. If people don't want to believe me, that's good.
You think that's fine?
Unfortunately, I probably give them too many clues on how to believe me, but, you know, if they don't want to believe me, it helps the energy of the crop circles.
Can I have a camera on me for a moment? This is a film you've made. It's a documentary, isn't it? How long is this, about?
It's 3 hours long.
3 hour long.
Yeah, it's a biggie.
It's called Circle Makers, and we're going to show it on Edge Media TV, I think in 3 sections, fairly shortly. But we're going to show you a little clip of it now, if we can. Hopefully.
Coming soon.
Sometime soon.
Showed a minute ago with the Earth is missing.
Oh, right, okay.
You know, so we actually filmed that at this location, so it shows that with these techniques you can produce patterns like that, you know, using tape measures, flattening boards and posts.
Okay, and this is actually filmed that night with you making the... All right, I think we've probably seen enough of that now. I think that's probably... I don't know whether that's the best clip we could have shown because it looks a bit dark, but...
it is dark. Probably okay at home. I'm sure people would see it.
But we will be showing the whole documentary, Circle Makers, on Edge Media TV at some stage in the future. I'm not sure what date yet, so keep tuned and we'll show this. But that brings me to another point, because it is dark. How on earth can you see? You haven't got light rigs set up, because if you had, then obviously people driving past would go, oh, look, there's people making a circle.
Well, it takes about 20 minutes for your eyes to get used to the dark. If you leave your house at night and you go out into the country, 20 minutes, and I think the military kind of use this scale as well. They say, you know, people out with their guns at night and all that, they sort of need a bit of time to adjust to the dark, but you can see. Things are silhouetted, you kind of see shadowy figures in the distance rather than clear, observable figures. But I mean, what we do is we use our designs, which I've got some here, I'll show you in a bit.
Well, let's quickly look at one of those then. Which number do you want to look at?
OK, well, we can have a look at, like, number 15.
Number 15? Can we see number 15, please? Number
15.
Oh, no, number 15 is a picture of some planks.
Oh, is it?
I think you mean, yes.
What's that one? 13. 12, 13. Sorry, it's 13.
13, yeah. Number 13.
OK, and I mean, I've got a design here, which is basically what we worked. We got invited to go down by Japanese TV in the winter.
Can we now zoom in on Matthew here?
Yeah.
And
I mean, in the winter,
and that's your design for that?
That's the design. Basically, it's a little bit hard to see because of the pencil lines, but, you know, we did this as a controlled experiment. Can we make this design at night in a field in the dark? Japanese challenged us for a TV program. So they set up infrared cameras on stands and watched us make this formation, and we had to do it within the time allotted.
Which was how long?
It was 4 hours.
4 hours,
So we started at 12 o'clock, and I think we were finished by about 12 minutes past 4. But they had stopped us during the middle to actually do some filming. So, you know, if we take away the fact that we were stopped during the middle, I think we said, you know, we basically completed it in time.
Can we look at that again? Because it is quite complicated. It looks like sort of like a shield within a triangle. It looks a bit like the Porsche badge, doesn't it?
There's a lot of interference pattern lines going on. It's lines intersecting lines on curves, creating what they call a moire effect, I think.
A moire, isn't it?
Moire, yes.
It's like silk. You get with silk,
with like 2 layers of silk against each other, you get an interference pattern. And that's what we were trying to go for there. But that was a recreation of another circle. It was a challenge. Can we recreate a circle that's already appeared within the hours of darkness? I think we've managed to do that successfully.
Yeah, well, yeah, I've got to say that it is quite an impressive circle, and if that was filmed by the camera crew, I'm not saying that you didn't do it. I mean, clearly you did do it. So.
Yeah, it's on the internet, on my YouTube page, if you want to see the footage from the Japanese program. OK,
well, Rich in Cheltenham has asked, what about the bloom on the corn?
The bloom is replaced each night when the condensation comes down. So if you wipe the bloom off, it's like a powder.
It's like on grapes, isn't it?
Yes, you know, you tend to get this like powder buildup. If you wipe it off, what we find is that the condensation reforms some of this, and then when the sun comes out, burns off the dampness off the crop, you actually get the bloom return. So, you know, there is damage in crop circles. I think a lot of the researchers overstate that there is no damage in crop circles.
Well, there's these nodules that are supposed to be affected
blown
as
nodes.
though, well, yes, blown nodes that are supposed to be, you know, affected by microwave radiation or something. How do you explain that?
Well, there's a very simple explanation for this. It's called phototropism. It's where a plant will grow towards the light. And if you put a plant in a window, it will turn itself round and try to get closer to the window. You know, plants grow towards the light. So if you bend crop over in a field, it will actually grow back at its knuckle point, back up towards the light. Now, the knuckle being stretched will sometimes split open because it's been stretched at high speed where it's tried to return quickly to the light.
And, of course, this wouldn't happen to a crop that hadn't been flattened.
No, not necessarily.
So then people come along, researchers come along and look at these what do you call them, nodules? Or
blown nodes.
Nodes,
yes.
And they then go, oh, look, this is unlike the rest of the crop.
Yes, the sap that comes out of them turns black in the sun. You know, it basically dries out and blackens, and this has been likened to a microwave damage. But the trouble is that some of the researchers in the United States, claiming to be scientists who are doctors, actually aren't doctors. And, you know, there's a lot of shenanigans about people using titles like professor and doctor, and they're not professor and not doctors, you know, and they're believers.
But even if they were,
they're hardcore
you know,
believers.
even if they
trying
were
to put
doctors,
this.
I mean, they've got, you know, they have a right to an opinion. Obviously.
Well, yes, and I mean, even the doctor who isn't a doctor in question, I mean, you know, he basically he's a plant biologist. He's able to do certain types of research. But if he believes that all crop circles are genuine, then his base...
Oh, we're going to go for our second break now. Once again, if you'd like to text in your questions or comments, do so now to 87778 with the word edge, and then your text. See you very soon. Welcome back to On the Edge with me, Theo Chalmers, and my special guest, Matthew Williams. Matthew, we're getting loads of texts in, and they're all scrolling off the screen, so I'm going to miss some of them, unfortunately. How do you explain huge, complicated crop circles that, from eyewitness reports, were formed in the space of a couple of hours? Do you think all crop circles are man-made, or do you think it is possible that in some cases there are supernatural forces at work? That's from Simon in Devon. I'm going to put that in with another one here from Andy in Marlborough, which says, the Ohm circle, OHM circle, at Alton Barnes was amazing. How can that be man-made? It's perfect. And we had another one earlier, which I did write down because it was good, which is, Matt, can you explain the Ohm?
Right, OK. Circles appearing in a short space of time. I've done many circles that have been described as not being there in the morning when people have gone walking with their dogs, and then they've walked back later on, an hour later, and then the circle is there, or 10 minutes later. This has happened on a number of occasions.
And there's a famous one with a helicopter, wasn't there, going over a field near, was it Avebury or...?
That was Stonehenge, yes, at Julius at Stonehenge. And I put that down, you know, being a pilot as well myself, to object fixation. You've got a big thing called Stonehenge, you're looking at it, that's what you came with your passengers to look at, and you're looking at Stonehenge. Now, when you fly one direction, the light reflects off the crop one way, and it might actually be just dull. When you fly back the other way, it'll reflect back at you, and you get a big shine. So if they're flying towards Stonehenge, looking at Stonehenge, they see Stonehenge. And then when they come back, they suddenly get a bit of shine, and they go, oh, what's this thing over here as well? And that, I think, would explain that, because I think it's unlikely that a crop circle like that formed in a short time.
So Ohm, this is a big thing, like a sort of swirly 3, isn't it?
Yeah, the Ohm symbol is controversial because this one was actually claimed by the team after they made it, which doesn't happen very often. I mean, these things remain mysterious, and I think it was a sort of homage to a friend of the circle makers called Paul Obie, who committed suicide, and he wanted to go on to a better place, but his friends who were left behind, they wanted to sort of pay homage to him by doing the Ohm symbol, which was a thing that meant a lot to him. So they went out and made this formation, and there were people on the hillside nearby with infrared cameras, and they said nothing was seen on the cameras. And then I challenged this and actually got them to look at the footage again and increase the contrast, and they see, well, actually, yes, you can see some people coming in, you can see it forming in stages, and over the period of time that it was actually said. But I mean, the story went out that it was filmed by infrared cameras and nobody'd seen anything, but actually I did help them to understand that it was made because they wanted it to be known as a circle to remember their friend by, the Ohm. And it was big and complicated, yes.
But this Simon in Devon said, you know, is it possible that in some cases there are supernatural forces at work?
I believe that the original phenomena probably was paranormal, or something of like a plasma nature, or strange whirlwinds that come down and create not very complicated patterns.
They're not going to do an OM, are they? They're not
No.
going to do one of these complex ones that you've clearly done.
It's the simple stuff. Now, unfortunately, the crop circle researchers have thrown the baby out with the bathwater, because now they are only interested in the good stuff, the complicated geometric patterns, and they're not interested in the simple wind damage circles. Now, I think they should go back to looking a little bit more at those wind damage circles, because maybe there's a message in those and it's been missed because something has come along and, you know, we've come along and carried on something else. But maybe we were meant to. Maybe we were meant to take the sign, the original sign, and develop it on, like if somebody sees a UFO.
But
it spurs them on to be a UFO researcher.
But you've had, because we've obviously discussed this beforehand, you had lots of strange experiences.
Yes.
In the circles when you're making them.
Yes.
So perhaps you'd like to describe those.
So many to go through. I'll run across them very quickly. Time effects. We ask for a time check at 1 o'clock when we're in a circle. I get people saying, yeah, it's 1, oh yeah, 1:05. I'm thinking to myself, we haven't got enough time, so we carry on doing the circle for about approximately, I would imagine, an hour. I look up in the sky, the sky is going red, so, you know, it's getting, the sun is coming up, it's starting to become a little bit red, and I think, well, you know, in an hour we're going to be out of time. So I actually sort of look up at the sky and I say, you know, God, I really, really need some more time. And then I say to people, what's the time? And everybody goes, well, it's 1 o'clock. I say, what? And somebody else goes, it can't be, because oh, hang on, my watch is 1 o'clock as well. And I go, what? And then I look up at the sky, the clouds have come back across, which is where they were at 1 o'clock, and we carry on working till 2 on our watches again, and the sky comes to the red horizon and the clouds have gone across. So
that's...
And there was an observer there, a doctor, Dr. Simeon...
A real doctor this time?
A real doctor this time, yeah, Dr. Simeon Hine, who was there and witnessed this. And he was very impressed. You know, he said, well, this is kind of, you know, interesting. This is a sociological, paranormal phenomena. You know, can these things manifest because people ask for things, or, you know, a fog bank. You know, I'll take you to another circle. A fog bank appeared. It's about this intent, you know, whether you're meant to make a circle or you're not meant to make a circle. On a particular night, we knew that people were inside a field watching the sky with a telescope. We knew they were there. And I said, well, we can't go in that field because there's people there, they're going to see us, you know, so we can't work that close to them. And I just got this feeling that it was okay to do it. So I went into the field with a friend.
Just the two of you?
Well, there were 3 of us, actually, and one of them's probably watching the programme now, so hello.
What, in Pusey?
Yes, yes, and he and my friend sort of waited there whilst I walked up to the top of the field and went through where these people were with a telescope. I wanted to see, could they see us? And I walked through, and lo and behold, they could see us down in that part of the field. If we were going to do it, they'd see us. No way we could get away with this. So I went down and I said, look, they can see where we are. This is crazy. Shall we do it? And I got this feeling, yes, let's do it. And they said, yeah, we feel like we're going to do it too. So we did the craziest thing you can imagine. We made a circle in front of a load of people that could see we were making the circle. But they didn't see us, we thought, because they didn't come in to stop us making the circle. So in the morning, I sought them out. I found out who these people were. I said, did you see or hear anything? They didn't know we were circle makers. And I said, did you see or hear anything last night in that circle that appeared up there that you were near? And they said, no, it's the maddest thing. We were there all night, and a fog bank came down over the field, and it was only in that area, and in the morning the fog raised, and there was a circle there.
That's quite impressive.
We could see them, they couldn't see us.
Rich in Cheltenham asked, how do we know you're not a plant? And I'm going to elide that with another question, which is, researchers make money out of believers through books and lectures. So, of course, they'll sell the idea circles can't be man-made. It's how they make money.
Well, the thing about me being... people have levelled these sorts of arguments about me being a disinformer, trying to sort of, you know, muddy the waters and take people's beliefs away. But what I think is the exciting possibility of people being able to go out and make crop circles and interface with the paranormal on a level that I, as a UFO researcher, had never been able to achieve before. When I was looking for UFOs, I was sitting on hillsides waiting. I saw some things from time to time, but it's very fleeting. But when I started making crop circles, my paranormality, the things that were happening to me, went up. So what I say to people is, if you think I'm lying to you, if you think I'm a government plant or whatever, you know, and I'm here to disinform...
Although why the government would be bothered?
Well,
there's so many other...
They are bothered about it because they did investigations, because they didn't know what was making crop circles until people admitted to it, and they had the military out there looking into it, and they are interested because UFOs are seen over crop circles, and the military are interested in UFOs. You know, these things do happen. But, you know, am I a plant? Well, go and test my theories. Go make a little crop circle, see what people say about it. If they tell you that that couldn't be made by people, you'll know that there's something wrong with that picture, yeah? And then if something strange happens in that circle that you make, and some people say they've been healed, or some people see UFOs, or some people say it didn't even appear in the morning, you know, that it appeared in the afternoon at, you know, 3:30 or something, you'll be going, what's wrong with this picture? So test me, you know, test what I'm saying. Don't believe me. Test my theory, you know, and try it yourself.
OK. There's another one. Dan in Leighton Buzzard says crop circles have appeared within 15 minutes at Stonehenge, right under security guards' noses. How do you explain that?
That's the one where the plane went over.
That's the one
we've
already discussed it, Dan. Yeah. So, yeah. OK, well, let's talk a little bit more about your strange experiences within crop circles. We've got 6.5 minutes to the end of the show. It's gone very fast, hasn't it?
It has. It's gone very quick.
So, you know, give me some other examples of weird stuff. You've had time shifts. You've had a fog bank. You know, you've had this feeling that you can or you can't do.
That's right.
The circles, and you've also felt a bit directed when you suddenly felt where you couldn't finish a design and you did something else and it seemed to point to some geographical feature. Give me some other examples.
Well, we've got the impression you have to go on your feelings. You know that if you feel inspired to do something, and if something feels like an exciting design, that's what you do. And people focus on ideas and we share them amongst each other. And then the one that resonates the most, the one that creates the most excitement is the one we do. And we might take a piece out of one design and a piece out of another and put them together. And then people will say, well, that's the one we were meditating on. We were meditating on that, but of course what they're actually meditating on is one person's come with one piece, another person's come with another piece, we've melded the two together, and that's what people were asking for. So that's kind of weird paranormal thing. Going into the same field on the same night as another team, we didn't even know we were in the same field, and working within about 200 feet of them, and in the morning we walk out of the field and there's another formation made by another team in the same field. They're both elongated designs, and one feature in one design seems to be pointing towards something in the other design. I mean, paranormal things, my phone, I lost my pager in a formation. I said, oh God, I've lost my pager. Can anybody help me out up there, please? You know, I've lost my pager. And I tried to ring it with my phone. I didn't have any credit. It wouldn't let me ring it. I asked for help, and then I was able to use my phone to ring that pager continuously until I found it in the circle. Once I'd found the pager, I walked to the car, tried ringing it again. My phone wouldn't allow me to do it because I didn't have credit. But I asked, you know, and this...
So you think God is staring at your shoulder, Matthew?
What is it, you know?
Or a God?
What is it that's interfacing with circle makers? This is why I made the video, because these experiences are not just from me, they're from lots of other people as well, that they've had strange things happen. Beams of light come down over them that don't have an origin. There's no bulb there. Just a beam of light that's illuminating the circle, but it's coming from up there and there's no source. You know, that's other circle makers' experiences. You know, it was raining one night, and, you know, I was feeling a bit miserable. I sort of went, you know, God, I wish it could stop raining. And then it stopped raining, and an oval shape appeared in the cloud, and I went, ooh, okay.
What's that about? An oval circle?
No, it was a circle, but an oval appeared in the cloud, like an ellipse, you know, like an eye, or something like that. And then I walked outside the circle, it was raining, walked back in, and it wasn't raining. And I told other people, I said, look at this. And they came out, and we all went, okay, because we believe in this stuff, you know. We all went like, well, that's okay, that's really good. You know, we're being told you're doing the right thing, carry on.
So what's the explanation for that then, Matthew? What do you think?
I think there's something bigger out there. And I mean, I've experienced UFOs in my lifetime, ghosts, clairvoyant stuff telling me that there's life after death, that you can make contact with, you know, departed relatives, this sort of stuff. I think there's something bigger going on out there. People don't have to connect with it, people don't have to believe in it, and they deny it, and they'll never see it. But people who are open-minded and start to sort of question the possibilities and want experiences, sometimes get a few, and people who get heavily involved in these things and really do put themselves at the forefront of it, I think they maybe get a few more. And that's why I want people to go out and make these circles, not because, you know, I don't want them to think that I'm something special.
I don't
because
think we
I'm
want to encourage people, because you are convicted of criminal damage.
Yeah,
I don't think we want to encourage anybody.
No, maybe you don't want to encourage people.
Well, I don't.
No, it's not a good idea because it's illegal. You should get the farmer's permission to do it. But what I'm saying by telling you these things is that there is something there. Go out and try it. And it's not about me, Matthew Williams, and the experiences I've had, because they're personal experiences. You can believe them or don't believe them. But test it and have your own experiences and tell your friends that you're having these experiences, and you'll be the new circle makers. So
in one way, you've taken away the dreams of a lot of people.
And you'll replace them with other
But
dreams.
You've replaced them with maybe even greater mysteries.
I think that, people interface with this other that's out there, and the answers and the directions they get drawn in to do things in their lives either affect their lives or can become art, which symbolises things for other people, and helps people get a focus on their lives, and maybe they get healing from the circles. I think that's all positive. And the fact that it's made by people, a lot of people won't believe that. So that's good, If they don't want to believe that it's made by people and it works for them better, if the energy works for them better by believing it's not people, then I say, believe it's not people. But if you want to believe it's people, then there's a way for you to become part of that, and I think you'll experience a lot more by being a circle maker than being an observer.
Do you feel that you're directed when you're deciding, because you have to go with the plan? You can't make it up as you go along, really, can you? You've got to go with the plan. Do you feel that you're being directed from outside? Well,
I think the coincidences that we've had show us that there's something guiding us, and sometimes the stop-start things, you may do this, you may not do this, this feels safe to do, this doesn't feel safe. There is definitely some sort of connection going on, and I think a lot of circle makers talk about the coincidences and synchronicity, so we're definitely being guided in some way. Is that coming from me to you, or is it coming from something else upstairs to other people? I don't know. But the fact that it's there is fascinating, and it's an anarchistical thing as well. It breaks the bounds of what you're meant to do, because the illegality and the secrecy of it breaks the bounds of normal art, and there's no signatures. So it is a mystery. It is a mystery because people won't take credit for it in most of the respects.
Just quickly then, is it art?
It is art, but it's a very strange form of art, because what other art actually manifests paranormal phenomena?
We're going to leave it on that note. Well, that's all we've got time for. Thank you to everyone for watching our show, and for those who texted. I'm sorry I couldn't read them all out. And thanks to my very special guest, Matthew Williams. If you've enjoyed this show, please tell all your friends. Next week we'll be back with yet another exciting show that might even change your life. Until then, remember, they're watching you, watching us, watching them. Cheerio.